Just to add a few sentences about the topic which I would like to signal to you, and which is in the title of my intervention, that is the topic of the development of a European policy on justice. Why do I mention that here? Because I think it's a good illustration, but we will hear, I think, another illustration when Cécile Barbier will speak later, an illustration of the fact that institutional changes, institutional reforms, can also have a policy implications, can also change the nature of EU law and the content of EU policies. And I would like to propose to you as one example what could be seen as an incipient European policy on justice. Now, what do I mean? Well, in terms of EU policies, the justice, or the J of justice, was always the small brother of the F and S of the area of freedom, security, and justice. You remember that idea of the area of freedom, security, and justice was launched at Amsterdam, so more than 10 years ago. And it soon became clear what freedom could be about, namely about facilitating free movement, a very narrow view of freedom actually, but it's about free movement across borders of EU citizens, but also of some third country nationals. We also got to know very quickly after September 2001 what security was meant to be, because there was a whole host of initiatives taken in the field of security policy. But justice remained for a long time a big question mark. What was this justice about? Now, to a large extent, for the first 10 years, justice was about criminal justice. It was about putting the criminals in jail and countries helping each other in achieving that purpose. For example, with the arrest warrant and so on. And I'm not denigrating this. This is, of course, important, and many important things happened, but it was a very narrow view of what justice could be. It was retributive justice, no? Criminal justice. Now, since this year, we have something else, I think. We see the emergence of something else. It's been reflected in institutional terms, in sort of bureaucratic terms, if you want, in the creation in July 2010 of a separate Directorate General in the Commission for Justice. That's how it's called, Directorate General for Justice, which has been separated from immigration, which has been hived off of the original DG Freedom, Security and Justice. So this Directorate General is in charge of criminal justice, of civil justice, but also of fundamental rights and European citizenship. Now, the creation, as most of you know, the creation of that Directorate General was the direct result of the appointment of a commissioner, which happened 6 months before, a member of the Commission specifically in charge of justice, citizenship, and fundamental rights. That was the way in which the portfolio of Mrs. Reding was defined when the new Commission Barroso was put in place. Now, this idea itself, this move, this new portfolio, was itself following, I think, a request from the European Parliament. The European Parliament basically saying that after the Lisbon Treaty, and especially because of the fact that the Charter of Rights became a binding part of primary law for the European Union, there was a need from now on for an active fundamental rights policy. In my view, that's the triggering factor. The fact that the Lisbon Treaty gave more emphasis and more privileged position to the Charter of Rights led in institutional terms to pressure for the creation of a dedicated commissioner, and if you have a dedicated commissioner, you get a policy. That's how it works, of course, in the European Union. If you have a commissioner, the commissioner must do something, and therefore will try to develop a policy.